Hey guys, my name's Paul from Plan B Paraguay. This weekend we're exploring some of the Chaco, specifically Loma Plata, with a local here in Loma Plata, Jonny. Jonny, good to see you. Now, Jonny is a local resident here. He runs a few different businesses, including a local diner here, as well as a construction company. And we thought we'd be asking Jonny a few questions today so we can get more of an understanding of what it's really like to live in Loma Plata and the Chaco as well. So thank you, Jonny.
Yeah, thank you guys for coming over and meet you guys.
Awesome. So Jonny, what would you say are some of the advantages, or what are some of the reasons that you find that people want to come out and live in the Chaco?
Yeah, I think here in the Chaco and Loma Plata, the culture here and the people are much more similar to what are Western countries, like for example the US or Europe. A lot of people here speak German. Maybe half of the population here in Loma Plata speaks English, so that might be a lot easier for some people that are thinking about moving to South America.
Yeah, definitely. When you say compared to Asuncion, that's a lot more people that speak English.
Yes,
Yeah, it's
yeah.
really interesting. And so, Jonny, what would you say are some of the what advice would you give to people living overseas right now? They're thinking of moving to Paraguay and they're thinking of moving to Chaco. What are some things to take into consideration before you make the move to the Chaco and to a place like Loma Plata?
Yeah, I would say not at first not commit to moving completely. Just come here, visit it. Take a tour, look around. If you like it or not, you can make the decision to move over here.
Yeah, absolutely. And you mentioned to us that if people are interested, we could give them your details. And they could meet up with you in the same way we have, and you could show them around?
Absolutely. Yes.
Okay, awesome. Because I find it's always good when you know someone who's a local and someone can show you around. It just makes it so much easier to really understand what a place is like and really like to live there.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. Whenever somebody asks you, you can give them my number. They can reach out and I can show them a little bit around here.
So, Jonny, before we were talking about sort of how the town functions, and you mentioned that it has like an interesting thing in how the services in the town are provided. And so what you're saying is there's a co-op called Chortitza,
yes.
Right? And they provide a lot of the local services to the town. Are you able to give us a rundown on how that works in Loma Plata?
Yes. So basically how it works is they have a lot of members and their primary focus is not to get as much revenue as possible instead of delivering a very good service for the farmers. So everybody pays their share, and so they get they have their own health insurance, they have their own education, they have their own schools. Those two are generally much better than you have like public education or public health care here in Paraguay.
Yeah, and it's interesting, right? Because I think what you were saying is that maybe 100 years ago, the Paraguayan government had very little involvement in the people of the region here. So they've almost created like a parallel system of government through this corporation that persists today.
Yes, exactly. Yes, as the Mennonites moved into the Chaco, there was nobody here. It was just empty land. There was no government here. There was no healthcare system. There was no schools. So they had to come up with everything on their own.
And so we've been going around the town, and one thing that Cam and I have noticed is that you look at a lot of the buildings and they're all associated with Chortitza. So it seems like a lot of the local industry is involved in this co-op. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's right. So basically the main income source here in the Chaco is agriculture, let's say cattle or farming. And basically what the co-op does, they buy it up from the small farmers and look for a better market to export it or sell it nationwide. They build their whole economic system around agriculture.
But then also, like you said, there's they provide their own services. So you mentioned schooling, you mentioned services for older people.
Yeah.
You also mentioned hospitals. And then you also mentioned that they also provide security as well for the people here. So it is kind of interesting, and because it is in its way its own government, but then also, like you said, they're sort of providing these at perhaps a higher quality than what people can expect just from the government in other parts of Paraguay.
Yes, so it is kind of similar to what the government does. So you pay a share of your income for these services. They vote their board members and they make sure that everything goes right.
I'd say a lot of our clients are people, they're more interested in smaller government, they're more interested in people sort of running their lives locally. And it's nice to see like an example of that sort of happening in Loma Plata, where it's a more, like I said, a smaller government that's more focused on really looking after the local people.
Yes, yes, exactly. So, and it is not that they try to control you at all. So you are free to do whatever you want. You pay your share, so you can run your businesses.
Okay, so Jonny, so let's say we have someone, they've come to Paraguay, they've got their residency with us. They're not, Asuncion isn't right what they're looking for. They want to move into the Chaco. So what would you recommend? How would someone go and purchase some real estate in this area here?
Yeah, so basically, as I said before, just come over. After that, you can decide if you want to live in the town or if you want to go buy a ranch outside in the countryside where you are completely on your own. Nobody cares about you, where you can do whatever you want and nobody...
It's going to bother you.
Exactly.
Yeah. And so for like property that's for sale, is it like you go to a website, do you contact real estate agents, or is it like very informal and you just look for like a sign for sale? Like how does it usually work?
Yeah, I think most of the time it's either to a real estate agent, or it's if you just drove by on a highway and you saw a sign that says for sale. So there is, for example, classipar.com. I'm not sure if you know about that.
Sorry, Classipar. Classipar, okay.
Yeah, so there are some ranches listed.
Yeah.
But it's very limited.
Okay. Would you find on a website like that, the prices are there, what you could expect from the market in general, or is that probably at a higher price than what you would really expect if you're on the ground negotiating?
It might vary. So it might maybe be overpriced, or maybe it's an average price, but generally is further out the city, cheaper it gets.
Yeah.
Obviously, in the city itself, it's more expensive. If you want to buy just a plot of land for a house, it's fine. But if you want to buy like 100 hectares to build a ranch, you should probably think a little bit more of going a bit further outside.
What's some of the activities that people like to do to, for fun or to pass the time out here? What's some things that the locals sort of get into?
Yeah, people out here are a lot of time outside. So they go hunting, fishing, or just driving around their own ranch, looking after their livestock. We have a go-kart track here. Swimming pools.
Oh, yeah. That makes sense. And you mentioned that there's hunting. What sort of animals are people hunting out here?
So we have the pigeon hunting season here.
What time of the year is that?
It is in fall, so it's probably starting late February, goes until April, May.
And with that, do you need like a license or anything to hunt the pigeons, or you can just go hunt them?
I'm not sure about that.
Okay, all right. And so, Jonny, you're saying there's a lot of other foreigners here. So can you talk about some of the countries that you're noticing people are coming from?
Yeah, a lot of people that are living here, they have moved over, for example, from Germany or Canada. In Spanish, a lot of people speak German, and a little bit fewer, but also not so little speak English.
Yeah, that's interesting. One thing I also noticed was that, and don't get me wrong, I love Asuncion, but when I look at the roads here, the roads here look a lot more developed. It also looks a lot cleaner. Why do you think that is out here?
So I think in the last couple of years, the government started to notice that Chaco, there's a great opportunity to be made, and they started to invest much more in infrastructure.
Yeah.
So there is a lot of new roads being built and also maintained. And so there's a bigger project that's sponsored by the Mercosur. It's to build a road from the east coast to the west coast. It goes all the way through Paraguay.
Oh, wow.
And a lot of construction you see right now is part of that project.
Right. Okay. Yeah. As we drove up here, we were seeing, there was just consistent construction all the way in regards to those roads, which is, it's going to make it a lot nicer and smoother to drive up here in the future, I imagine.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Oh, it is chilly. Okay. In regards to buying the property here, what are you finding are some of the the usual sizes of the property or some of the prices associated with those? Like, is it more people buying larger plots of land or more smaller?
Yeah, so closer by to the city, the plots of land are getting smaller. So I think like an average size, let's say in a radius of, let's say 50 kilometers, is maybe 100 hectares.
Yeah.
But if you go further out, the ranges get bigger and bigger. So if you go, let's say 200 kilometers away, you have to buy, for example, let's say 5,000 hectares or 10,000 hectares.
Yeah.
And those guys probably won't chop up their land to sell just a small portion. So
Yeah, right. Okay.
But
that makes sense.
But it gets cheaper. So excuse me. If you go further away and buy a big ranch, you'll have to pay around about, let's say, $1,000 per hectare.
Yeah.
And if you go closer to the city, it gets more expensive. Then you have to
closer to Asuncion.
No,
closer
to
Loma
Plata.
Plata. Okay,
exactly,
right. Yeah.
There, the prices go up to maybe $5,000 per hectare.
Yeah. Obviously, this is a Mennonite community, and you're a Mennonite yourself. Is that correct?
Yes.
So obviously, lots of people don't really know much about Mennonite people. Maybe they have some misconceptions, like maybe they think they're too religious or too strict. What's some of the misconceptions that people have about Mennonites?
Yeah, so oftentimes I hear when I say I'm a Mennonite, they think like the Amish people in the US.
Right.
So
like no electricity.
Yes, no cars and so on. They just do their work with horses and so. Yeah, no, it's not like that here. The people here are more modern, they're more open-minded. Because of a lot of them have family members overseas, or they have lived or visited other countries. They pretty much know how the lifestyle in other countries are, and they bring that here to the Chaco, to Loma Plata.
Yeah. And would you say the local community here is open to, I mean, obviously good people, but non-Mennonites coming and moving and starting a life here in the Chaco?
Yes, if you are wanted to live a lifestyle that's outside on a ranch, working on a ranch, working with cattle and so.
So Jonny, we get a lot of people who are interested in moving here. They want they want a more natural life. They want to grow their own crops. They want to have their own animals, have their own little farm. What's some of the crops and some of the animals that people have out here on the farms?
Yeah, so the majority of farms here are cattle farms.
Okay.
Because it is, I think, the easiest way. You can just have your cattle there on the farm and don't need to put that much work into that.
Yeah.
So, but you can also do agriculture. For example, a lot of soybean is planted here.
Yeah.
Maize also, but also other animals like pigs or chicken. And also like vegetable farms. There's some vegetable farms here because you don't need to have that much land to grow a lot of vegetables.
Yeah, I noticed also as we were driving there was a hydroponic type setup. What were they growing there?
Yes, exactly. Yeah, here's a farm that grows lettuce, hydroponic lettuce.
Okay. So when people think of South America, Paraguay as well, the question always comes up like, is it safe? Is it safe to raise a family? Is there crime? What would you say the crime or the safety's like in the Chaco and in Loma Plata?
Yeah, so I'm feeling really safe. Like I know a lot of people that don't even lock their home or their car for night. So I think it's really safe here. And so there's a very low crime rate here. And as I told you before, we have our own security team here, and they're doing a pretty good job at keeping crime rate low.
It must be nice, if you have young kids and they can sort of go out and play outdoors, rather than sort of being cooped up in a city. So, Jonny, you're a restaurant owner, so you probably be a bit of a local expert. What do people eat out here?
Yes.
What's common?
Yeah, so people love meat here.
Okay.
They love their cattle. They everything is grass fed. So the beef comes from right around the town here.
Yeah. As we were coming in, we could see all cows just grazing in the paddocks there. It was quite nice. Yeah.
Yes. People love doing barbecue here. They every Sunday they do their barbecue with family and friends. So people enjoy their meat here.
Awesome. Well, I mean, Cam and I as well. If you look on our Twitter last night, we ate at your restaurant, and you could see I had the milanesa, and Cam, what was his dish? The
Beef paraguayo.
Yeah. Check out our Twitter if you want to see what we ate. But yeah, it was delicious. And so, I mean, we love meat, but it's not just meat at your restaurant. What are some of the other meals that people can experience?
Yeah, so we do serve pizzas and pastas. We serve burgers and obviously
nice.
the milanesas that you ate.
Yeah.
And the beef. We also do have like picanha on the menu.
Okay. Awesome. Yeah, so it sounds like you got a bit of a variety there, different parts of the world.
Yeah.
All right, Jonny. So I've moved to the Chaco, I've moved to Loma Plata. I bought some land. Let's say it's undeveloped land. So what are some of the prices? What's a price range of what it will cost to, put a property or put a house on some land here?
Yeah, so it depends. If you want like just a small cabin, if you're like a single guy and don't have family and don't need much space, you can do it for let's say $20,000.
Okay.
So, but if you want like a nice family house with everything included, you're looking for around, let's say, $100,000.
$100,000. And let's say, okay, perfect. So you know what? I've got the my land, I've got the house, but let's say I'm single, maybe I want a wife, I want to settle down. What would you say the women, obviously they're very beautiful in terms of all of Paraguay, but how would you say the women come across here? Or
yes.
What are they like?
Yes, so definitely they're beautiful. I agree with that. If you're looking for a serious relationship, you'll definitely find a girl, a wife here in Chaco and Loma Plata. People in general here are looking much more for a serious relationship. So if you want to settle down and build a life and have a family and kids, you'll very well find some decent woman or man. If you're a woman and are looking for a man, you'll find a man here too. So they have a lot of family values.
So a lot of our clients are gun enthusiasts, and a question we get often is, what is the gun laws like and how does it work in Paraguay? So let's say someone was to move to Loma Plata. Are they able to purchase their own firearms?
Yes, so a lot of people here can buy a firearm if the legal work adds up.
Yeah.
And people around here, they love guns. A lot of people have guns. They go hunting. Some people have their own shooting range on their ranch. And yes, people are very much gun enthusiastic as well.
So it sounds like really, when you think about living here, it's really about the freedom. It's about being able to do your own thing. It's about living outdoors with nature, being self-sustainable. Does that sound about right?
Yes, that's quite right. You can have a very sustainable life here. So if you are into farming or just love being outdoor or freedom of do whatever you want, you are the right fit for here.
Awesome. Well, thanks for having us, Jonny. We really appreciate you inviting us to this town.
Thank you for coming here.